principle is, the other one is, I can accept the situation because when I see about the consequence, it might offend. It might give a lot of inconvenience for innocent people.
Exactly.
So I try to analyze and then see whether I should be instrumental in causing the disturbance to them or to quietly sustain the loss. Okay. This is something which we have, not that we should say this, you should do this or you should do that. Papa is giving the option before us. When he says money is the root of all evil, normally we will all feel, without money can we live?
Exactly.
What does Papa mean by that? What Papa means is, we may have to possess money, we may have to handle money, but so long as we own it. As a spiritual aspirant, we try to understand that money has been given to us through his various creation called the society or the employer or the business or something like that, for enabling me to serve his own creation. The creation has given me. Through the employer, he is giving me the salary.
Exactly.
Through the producer, the produce is given to me as a trader, and I sell it to the consumer. I am only a conduit between the producer and the consumer. If they are not cooperating, I will not be able to get some profit.
Exactly.
Like that we start, and suppose I am running a factory. There are so many raw materials coming from different segments of the society, and so many people have put in their efforts, and finally the technical know-how, the intelligence. Papa used to say, in Bhagavad Gita also it says, when we start trying to understand the characteristics of God, who is God? God stands for life force, God stands for awareness, God stands for intelligence. Pure intelligence. Then we come to know that everything that we enjoy has originated from that intelligence.
Correct.
When there was no specks in the world, nobody has produced, nobody has seen the specks. But somehow somebody thought, there should be a thing called, he would not have named it as specks. But the first concept came in him. Where from it came? It came from that core intelligence. We are talking now in the English language. When there was no language, it should cite to somebody,
Exactly.
And then he should have A to Z 26 letters. Then the intelligence said, yearly letters, how can it convey? There should be then only everybody can use it. So the conjugation of work that came in existence, where indefinite, present continuous, perfect continuous, passive voice, active voice, adverb, adjective, noun, preposition, take it and solve to them. Today we are using it.
Exactly.
For the intelligence. But for that intelligence, no creativity can come.
Correct, Swamiji.
God has given in the form of raw material, God has given in the form of intelligence, the technical know-how we say, the expertise we say, it has come from pure intelligence. That is also a gift of God. When all these things have been given a gift of God, how can I arrogate myself and see that the money is mine?
Correct.
So Papa wants us to go deep into that. When he says money is the root of all evil, when I feel I have. So the other party, when something is given, it may be difficult for ordinary people to accept the theory. But as spiritual aspirants, as bhaktas, devotees, now Papa is asking us to go deep into it and analyze. In one of his letters, he writes this. The establishment in which you are working has come from that intelligence. Okay? Then, you have been drawn there as an employee. And where are you delivering? You are delivering only to his own creations. And he is paying you the salary through your present employer. For the work he is getting done through you. So when you work in AG's office, when you work in somebody's office, as an aspirant, we are supposed to keep on reminding us that we are doing God's work. We are doing God's work, and God is paying me the salary to exist as an individual. So when I know the supreme commander, supreme employer, the CEO is he, the other one is only a relative CEO. How will I reciprocate? I will reciprocate in the form of sincerity, hard work, loyalty, efficiency. These are the ways by which I pay back. Just imagine. So when we work in any establishment, in any field, suppose these dimensions are there, whether you know it or not, you are paying that God. So when he brings out his money is the root of all evil, he makes us think, how can I accept? Without money I cannot travel. We are now, I am in SIRUMALAI now. I came, whether I pay or somebody had to pay money, in the form of petrol, in the form of vehicle. So the money is the medium. We run the whole show. So Papa says money is the root of all evil. How am I to accept it? We keep on then thinking. Then what he meant to us, the moment I see the money is mine, actually it has been given to me
by God.
Actually, this is what all of you are doing, People who are employees, who are business people, you are also doing it. You are buying so many things. There's a lot of economic activities going on because of you. When you have the capacity, purchasing power, then you go and buy one shop. Then the shopman gets something out of it. And the shopman, where does he get from the produce? Somebody is producing it. They will get it. You are indirectly. We were all coffee planters. Prior to coming to Ashram, we were all coffee planters. So when we produce coffee, we get some price, okay? But the coffee goes to, you don't know. You may be a producer, but you may not know who is drinking your coffee.
Correct.
And the various processes, you would have given coffee seed. But if the seed has to become a cup of coffee in your table, there are so many processes that are going on, which are contributed by so many of these creations.
Yes.
As a spiritual aspirant, again we mentioned this. Others, we need not bother. They know it or not. We are all privileged ones, where God is giving us an opportunity to go to the root of everything and then feel He is there. When He says, Raspi Ramdas, that whatever you do, the expansion of the individual into the universe is possible only when God thought rules your mind. This nothing. You are going to the root of everything. God love fills your heart. If we don't love, we don't bring out efficiency. Whole-souled, focused attention alone can give efficiency. Yoga karma kaushalam. Dexterity in action, efficiency in action is yoga. So whenever we bring out this efficiency, God's love. God will govern. He may plan, but He may plan in a different way for us. So we don't get dejected, dispirited. At the same time, we accept situations. That is what is called God's will. Without grumbling, without complaining. One group of friends came from Chennai last night. At about 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock, their bus, Stop. They tried their level best, the driver. It did not move. Another bus had to come all the way from Chennai. With the result, they were supposed to reach here by morning, 4:30, 5 o'clock. They reached here by 5:30. Our intelligence, our human calculation is perfect. There is a chart there. At what time, who will pick up?
Correct, Swamiji.
And the mechanism is there, the bus is there, the driver is there, everything is there. Food is there, reason is there. But it did not go.
So,
Adi Bhautikam, no? Tapataraya, there are three. Adi Bhautikam, Adhyatmikam, Adi Devikam. Adi Bhautikam, it's not in our control.
Control, correct, exactly.
So there is still one more factor there. So when we resign to that, that's called God's will. So if we try to bring these three into our workaday life, we are moving towards Him. So through this particular chapter, Papa is touching and kindling this. By this occurrence, Ram taught Ramdas a beautiful moral that he should not commit at any time the blunder of carrying or owning money. Owning money. Which means nothing but trouble and mischief. Rightly it is said, money is the root of all evil. Owning.
Owning. Should not feel.
And when you carry, there is every likelihood you may lose.
Yes.
So now, when we start on a vehicle, we should know that it might. God willing, I will reach there. We will never say that I will reach there on such and such a time.
Correct, Swamiji.
We may be having money, we may be having everything, but still we cannot say that I will reach. No.
This will.
So these three lines, Papa is touching and kindling today, that
Swamiji.
all our actions should be permeated with God thought rules your mind, God love fills your heart, God's will governs your action.
Thank you, Swamiji. Thank you very much.
Again, we can keep on building it up, but then, yes, next point.
Anybody let them answer? 1 minute, Swamiji. 1 minute.
ஹலோ சாமிஜி, நான் கொஞ்சம் சொல்லலாம் நினைச்சிட்டு இருக்கேன் மனசுல. மலையாளம் புக்கு படிக்கிறேன் சாமிஜி நானு. அப்போ மலையாளம் தெரியாத தமிழ் தெரியாது, என்னோட லாங்குவேஜ்ல பேசுறேன் சாமிஜி. குருதேவன் அனுபந்தன் டு குருதேவா சொல்லி தொடங்கியிருக்காரு பப்பா. ஓம் ஸ்ரீராம் ஜெயராம் ஜெய ஜெயராம். இது பப்பா குருதேவனுக்கு எழுதின லெட்டர். இது சுருக்கமா எனக்கு தெரிஞ்ச பாஷையில சொல்றேன் சாமிஜி. இது படிக்கிறத உடம்பு புல்லு இருக்கிறது. பப்பா சவுத் இந்தியாவில இருந்து நார்த் இந்தியா சுற்றி கடைசியில ஹிமாலயம் எல்லா புண்ணிய ஹிமாலயத்துல கால் எடுத்து பார்த்து ஹிமாலயத்தை கால் எடுத்து வைக்கிறார். அப்பா அங்க அவர் பார்த்த காட்சிகளை அனுபவிச்சதும் விளக்குகிறார். சர்வ அதிசயமாய் 400 மைல் நடந்து அனுபவிச்ச ரொம்ப நல்லா சொல்லுகிறார். 400 மைல் நடந்த சம்பவங்கள் எல்லாம். அப்போ நானும் நடந்துட்டு கொஞ்சம் கூட ராமன் என்கிட்ட உள்ள தெய்வினால கொஞ்சம் கூட எனக்கு சிடமே தோணலை. அங்கே இருந்து 160 கங்கா தேவி ஓடுறது. கொஞ்சம் அசந்து போன கங்கையோட அடிவாரத்துல எல்லாரும் விழுந்து நிறைய பேரு போறது. ஜெயிச்சுட்டே பயம் இல்லாம அப்புறம் அப்படி போயிட்டே இருந்தாரு. அப்ப ஹரித்வார் போய் சேர்ந்து 160 மைல் கீழே கேதாரநாத் வந்துதான். அதுக்கு பயங்கர அபகடகரமான வழியாம் அது. இங்க இருந்து தீர்த்த யாத்திரைக்கு வந்தவா பல பேர் கங்கையில போயிருக்காராம். அந்த போஷக நதி மந்தாகினி கேதாரநாத்ல இருந்து புறப்படுறத அந்த பனி ஃபுல்லா பாறைய மூடி இருக்கா பனி. அதை தாண்டி அந்த பாறைய பார்த்து மேலே ஏறதுக்கு ரொம்ப கஷ்டப்பட்டாரா. மூடி கிடக்குற பாறையெல்லாம். அப்பா இந்த பாறை கடந்து போன மேலே போய் சேர அப்படியே முடியவே இல்லையா அவரால. அப்புறமா பாறையில சுத்தி காஞ்ச புல்லு கொம்புகள் 4 பக்கம் மூடின்னு இருக்கா. அந்த புல் காம்புகளை எல்லாம் பிடிச்சிட்டு எப்படியோ வழுதி கீழே இறங்கினார. போனதே ரொம்ப கஷ்டப்பட்டாரா. அது கழிஞ்சு என்னாச்சு, அங்கேயே நல்ல ஐஸ் கட்ட மழை பெய்யாது. அப்புறம் பார்த்தா 5 மணிக்கு அப்புறம் கீழே வச்சினாரு. ஐஸ் உருகி கீழே எல்லாம் ஜலம் வர்றது தெரிஞ்சது. ஐசு அங்கே இருந்து யாத்திரைக்கு பின்னே தொடங்கினாரா. எனக்கு ராம் இருக்கிறத இனி என்ன பயம்? இதுலயே பயம் கொஞ்சம் கூட இல்லையே எனக்கு. ராம் என்ன ரட்சப்படுத்துறதுக்கு என் கூடவே இருக்காரு. பகவான் மகான் எனக்கா இருந்தால் இது பிடிச்சு எனக்கு இருந்தால் எனக்கு பயம் வேண்டியது பயமே வரவே இல்லை அப்படின்னு சொல்லி எனக்கு தெளியத்துக்கிற இது இந்த இதை படிச்சுட்டு சுவாமிஜி பயம்ங்கிறது என்னன்னு தெரியறதுக்கு ரொம்ப ஒரு இது படிச்சா தெரியாது. பப்பா எப்படி அந்த காலத்துல 100 வருஷம் முன்னால அந்த வரியெல்லாம் எப்படி இருந்திருக்கோம், அவர் எப்படி ஏறினார் இறங்கினாருங்கிற இதெல்லாம் நிறைய விரிவிச்சிருக்கு. அதெல்லாம் படிச்சேன். நான் சும்மா கொஞ்சமா படிச்சு உங்களுக்கு என்னோட அறிவை கொஞ்சம் சொன்னேன் சுவாமிஜி. ரொம்ப ஆச்சரியமா இருக்கு. இதை படிச்சுட்டு பயத்துல இருந்து மனசு கொஞ்சம் தெரிஞ்சிருக்கு எனக்கு. இப்படி பகவான நினைச்சுட்டா எதை எமேல கூட கடைஞ்சு போறான்னு சொல்லுவா. அந்த அளவுக்கு தைரியம் கிடைச்சிருக்கு. ரொம்ப இதா சுவாமிஜி படிச்சது. அதனால அதை புரிஞ்சு வச்சுட்டு உங்ககிட்ட படிக்கணும் சொல்லியிருந்தேன். பிள்ளை இன்னைக்கு சுவாமிஜி நீங்க ஹம்மி இந்த இது பாடுறதுனால அது நான் 3/4 மணிக்கு 1 மணிக்கு காலப்படம் ட்ரை பண்ணினேன். ரொம்ப நல்லா இன்ட்ரெஸ்டா சொல்ல வர சுவாமிஜி. மெண்டல் சாண்டிங்கோட இது கொஞ்சம் சுகமா இருக்கு. நான் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் நான் நினைச்சுட்டு எனக்கு வராதோன்னு நினைச்சிட்டேன். ஆனா இது நல்ல அனுபவம். ரொம்ப எனக்கு காலையில கேட்கறது வேலை செய்துட்டே இருக்கேன். வேலையில அது பாட்டுக்கு நடந்துக்கிறது. ஆனா உள்ள நல்லா அந்த இது ராமநாமத்துக்கு வருது. இது அந்த இதான் நான் பிடிச்சுக்க போறேன். மெண்டல் சாண்டிங்கோட இது சுகம். ஹரியோ சுவாமிஜி. இதுதான்.
She was talking about the letter written to Gurudev, which has appeared in Inquest of God. It is a very inspiring letter, where Papa gives a synopsis of the entire yatra and the thrill he enjoyed even at the time of the most risky period and the most adverse circumstances, how God helped him to withstand all those things. So here, when a devotee like her, when she reads it, she gets thrilled and she says, many of the people may not know Malayalam or Tamil, so that's why we are repeating it. It's a wonderful exposition, because when we are having an in-depth study of IQG, anything can inspire us. Not necessarily this or that. Anything can inspire us. Within. So he is asserting, why should I fear when I know you are with me? It is you who is making me to take up that. So why should I fear? Holding my hand, you are going there. And he is explaining in detail about the various types of experiences he had during this yatra. In what way it helps us? It tries to reinforce our faith in him. That is the plus point. It tries to reinforce our faith in him. It is a letter written by Papa to Gurudev. So what? But the experience when we actually go through, when we are convinced, oh, he will not leave me. Apparently I may feel I am orphaned, but I am not orphaned. Because at no time he is away from me. He is with me, in me, everywhere around me. So this, I have to keep on hammering. Because the sense of individuality again will bring the curtain. We were discussing about the curtain that separates us and him. Separates us from him. That curtain, immediately the curtain is put. I am trying to understand, I am trying to open, immediately, the curtain comes. Again I am back to square one. So in order that my efforts become steady, sustaining, I have to keep on reading, do the manan, and get ourselves reinforced that he is with me. He will not leave me. So why should I bother? His own words. Wonderful are thy works, O Ram. Returning from the Himalayas, Ram directed me towards Mathura, birthplace, so and so and so and so. Ram seems to be wishing to close my itinerant life. I am praying Ram to point out and lead me to a place where I can spend the remainder of my life in meditation of him. Again you see the word meditation, okay? Not merely chanting. This is something which we have not given importance so far. I can spend the remainder of my life in meditation of him, in uttering his sweet name. First meditation and to be followed by utterance. The charming music of the sound, Ram has sustained me all along and will certainly fill me with his grace till the end. But what he intends to make me is not known yet. Every time he brings out this, whenever he is placed in such a stressful period. Yesterday we were telling, you even shameth the motherly love. You surpass. Normally we say motherly love is the top. Unconditional, unexpected, zero expectation, selfless, pure. This is what we call as motherly love. But here he a step more. There it may be due to attachment. So motherly love minus attachment is godly love. Motherly love minus the attachment. Because the same attitude may not be there for all children. But at the same time, the motherly love is purest form of love. So it is with that, because the curtain is not still taken, the curtain is still there, but at the same time, the mother expresses the love which is given only to her children. So Papa brings it out in a beautiful way in the letter to Gurudev. Very good that it has been pointed out. Very good. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Why do certain experiences seem to repeat again and again the same way? Why do certain experiences seem to repeat?
Will you please a little louder?
Swamiji, she says, same experiences, why again and again it repeats?
Every day we brush our teeth, Every day we go to the toilet. Every day we take the bath. Repetition has come to stay in our life. When we go to, I don't know now, when we were all children, when we go to school, we have to learn by heart so many things, even the table. That means what? You have to repeat. When we were initiated with the letters, you remember? Yay, 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 yay. You have to keep on writing. Repetitive performance only leaves an indelible impression in our mind. If it is applicable to all our grosser level activities, should it not be extended to the subtle level activities? Because we forget. God is within you. Papa said, we have forgotten. We are again seeing everybody as, me as, only the body, mind, intellect complex. With my own priorities and preferences, my likes and dislikes, everything, I never recognize that He is within me. Again I hear, God is within you. God is within you. God is within you. Papa used to say, when you keep on hammering on a rock, we are all sitting on a rock. It may not break, but you keep on hammering. After the 20th stroke or 30th stroke, it will break. One or two, if you go back, you know it. When a water is dripping on a stone for a number of years, it will have its dent. So repetitive performance is a must. Just like we do everything repetitively every day, all things, we repeat. We wash our clothes. Everything. What we did yesterday, we do the same thing. We take the same plate. We eat. We wash the same plate. Why? So repetitive performance has come to stay with our life. So we keep on analyzing. The Papa keeps on hammering this in chapter by chapter by chapter by chapter. And we know from our experience, we have been associating with the ashram for the past 2 or 3 decades or 4 decades. We must have been reading this. What happened to us? So then we come repetitive performance, not at the superficial level, repetitive performance with the knowingly doing it, consciously doing it. Even in the grosser level, suppose nobody does the grinding now. Suppose you are grinding, you are doing it. You keep on grinding. And suppose you have to put the dough inside. Suppose you look at somewhere and then put it, your finger will get caught. Anything that you handle, even the mixing, consciously you should do it. For efficiency, for better performance, for better output. It's conscious. So not merely repetition. Repetitive performance is necessary, but consciously we should do the repetitive performance so that one day that hammering will break, like that one day it will percolate into our inner chamber. That is why Papa keeps on repeating this. He was not even satisfied with 37 chapters. That is why he repeated in the outpourings of the cave. Now, everything, he makes us to do manana. This is what is meant by meditation. Not superficial. The other one is clerical. In professional field, we say, clerical job and executive job. Clerical job, you say something, he does it clerical. He does it exactly. He doesn't use his intelligence. But an executive, his table will always be clean, A clerk's table will be full of papers. Because he has to free himself from the routine. Then only new ideas will come up. If he is bound in the routine work, clerical work, efficiency will not be there, an overall efficiency will not be there to run the organization. So one should be totally free. So if you go to a manager's room or a CEO's room, it will be always clean. Whenever problem comes, he will be able to give then and there the answer. Because he is not bound by any routine. So whereas the clerk is not like that. He has to do the routine work. So first step is routine work. Then only he gets graduated to a higher form of his assignment. The employer will be watching him closely. And then he also tries to bring in, it's not merely clerical. He brings his intelligence into it. Then slowly, a watchful executive will definitely promote him. We have seen in good old days, nowadays it is not there. In good old days, they will start typewriting shorthand as soon as SLC is over. They are given typewriting shorthand. And then they go and get an employment. When he is handling the correspondence of an executive, so many things, if he is intelligent enough, that means if he is consciously doing it. Boss said, I am typing out. Boss said, I am typing out. But suppose I use my own intelligence. And suppose we go and we share the thought with the boss. The boss will immediately, here is one who has got an self-initiative. So he should be relieved from clerical work and he should be upgraded. His position should be upgraded. So this is something very important. You connect it with your day-to-day life, then spirituality becomes absolutely clear. So the repetitive performance is a must, but consciously repetitive. And that will touch and kindle not the clerical stuff, but the intelligent stuff. This is what Papa wants all of us to do. When he wants us to chant his name, chant the name of God, he doesn't want us to do it on the clerical level. That's why he is at mechanical level, superficial level will not help. But when we go a little bit deeper into it, where from the chanting comes? Chanting comes from the stillness. Who is chanting? Who is knowing that chanting is going on? What exactly is this chanting? Like that, when we keep on, that is what is called meditation. So the meditation precedes the chanting. Not it succeeds. Papa started meditation and then chanted, so he was able to scale the heights. Unknowingly, unwittingly, he did not prompt us to do this. He started chanting. we were getting some joy, we were satisfied with that. But when it comes to the point of going to the core of our being, then we try to realize repetitive chanting should be done, not merely repetitive chanting, consciously chanting, knowingly chanting. We are chanting the name of one who is within us, who is making me to chant. One more step. And why is he making me to chant? To go to the root. He says, for his own words, utterance of God's name is to make the mind ultimately still, free from all thoughts. It is in the stillness that you know and realize God. And in another letter he says, sound is the first expression of soundlessness. So through the sound we go to the soundness. So when I chant, I may be repeat. This is outwardly it is a repeated performance, you know. Chanting. No. But inside, along with it, when we integrate it with this meditative chanting, just now what you were saying, you know, the humming of this. Total concentration. Because it is connected with the breath. And breath is connected with the thought. Suppose, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to say, you know, when you are made to dip your head in the water, did you think about anything else? Yeah. To come out. So now just start thinking. So when the breathing is intertwined with our chanting, the chances of the mind going out will become minimal, even zero. So like that, repetitive performance along with this, so meditative chanting, okay, we can see. We can coin out a new word, meditative chanting. Meditative chanting will definitely lead us to the core of our being. So repeatedly, if we keep on mentioning about it, it is with purpose. Is it clear?
Yes, Swamiji.
Yeah.
Hari Om Swamiji, in Himalayan Journey 3, Papa wants to darshan of Badrinath. So some Swami Papa had some difficulty in gaining entrance to the temple for darshan of Badrinath. As there was a heavy rush of pilgrims at the front of door. But some sickly people were permitted to get in by a narrow side door at which two pandas or Brahmins were set to watch. He sought entrance here. One of the pandas said, if you are sick, you can come in. No, Ramdas is not sick, replied Ramdas. Well, pretend that you are sick. If you are not, suggested the Pandaj. Never returned Ramdas. He does not want to darshan of Badrinath by telling a lie. It is against the command of Ram. Saying that he turned away from the place. But the kind Pandaji at once grasping his hand, took him inside and getting him the darshan of Badrinath, gave him also some prasad. O Ram, thou art testing thy slave in various ways. Papaji, Swamiji, Pandaji himself performed he is the godly seva. He is before the God. He is the pujari. Ask him to advise the Papa to say the lie. Kindly give some more clarification. And the same Pandaji took him.
No, we need not blame the Panda. Panda did not do with any bad intention.
Sir?
God wanted through Panda to show his great concern for Papa. At the same time, if It was a test for Papa. Because he has got clear concept about God. So, God is truth. Capital T. Not the opposite of lie. God is truth. Truth means that which ever stays. Gandhiji used to mention God as truth. He has written his autobiography, My Experiments with the Truth. Truth is God. So when truth itself is God, how can we tell a lie and see the truth? Can it stay together? Light and darkness, can it stay together? It cannot. So from the stairs, from the platform of Papa, that the clarity is there. From the standpoint of the Panda, is care and concern for others. That is why when you go in spirituality, there is no right and wrong. Each one is designed by God for some purpose. Each one is activated by God with some purpose. It happens. It happens. You see in Jagannath Puri what happened? There was a big crowd. One Brahmin came, she took hold of Papa, forcibly took him. How do you justify that? When many people are waiting there for hours together, do we find fault with that person who took Papa? No. There are so many who are waiting there for so many hours. Nobody was there to forcefully take him like this particular person to Papa. But then, and so what happens, the rights and wrongs, we get some more clarity. The in-depth study of IQG now gives us some more clarity that each one is doing from their standpoint as motivated by God. So let us be non-judgmental. Before rushing up with our judgment, let us do some pause. Think about it. There must be a reason. I may not be able to understand the reason. My intellect will not be able to understand the reason. But because it is caused by him. Just think. In Thus Speaks Ramdas, Papa says on the first, in the aim of life, when you see somebody, don't see the person as person. The indwelling reality should also be seen. Whenever you see anybody, you must see not only the external form, but also the indwelling reality. This is the true vision. That means we become non-judgmental. We don't rush up with any decision, any surmises, any final opinion. No. Even if by habit, suppose we make a mention, it should not become deep. We don't mean it. We should not. We say, I did not mean it. I'm sorry, it was a slip of tongue. Automatically, by force of circumstances, somehow it came out. I'm sorry. There ends the whole matter. Because first one, it was judgmental. Then, the wisdom came, non-judgmental. So, Papa, by making us to go through this Badrinath, IQG, now he is opening up a new line of thinking in us. Don't be judgmental. Just like the policeman violated his own dharma, the Panda also violated his own dharma. The Panda is there not to allow people like this. When so many people are there, if you go to Sabarimala or if you go to Balaji's temple or Vaishnavi Devi temple, you just see, so many people died recently. However much we control, God wills, So there will be to have some order, somebody will be put there. It happens. But there are exceptions. The other day we were telling, when there are so many statutes, governing this land, when God provided to the administrators, the planners, in every act, at the end you will find a clause for exception. Government may not use it because it becomes a precedent. You will go to the court tomorrow. But still, the framers of the laws have put one exemption. Similarly, God has also used some exemption to some of His creation. The reason we cannot say the why and God. The Panda inadvertently he said, you tell a lie, you pretend that you are sick. He did not mean anything bad. Out of his concern for Papa, he saw Papa in rags and his swollen feet, and he wanted Papa not to miss this opportunity. He has come all the way to Badrinath, but at the same time, he doesn't say that he is sick. He is a pretend man. Go inside. Out of his love and concern. With non-judgment. Think about it. Each and every episode in IQG is worth drilling more and more, plumbing more and more teeth. Very good that you have pointed out.
Sir,
yes.
Pranam Swami.
Pranam.
Swamiji, Hariom, that the kind policeman chapter again, there at the last, suddenly the eyes start shining, the policeman. So these are some of his subtle things that happen in a human being when he is arguing or when he is having a conviction and he is holding on to his point. These come to a person's body language.
What exactly is your...
That's what he shows.
Huh?
The kind policeman chapter.
That is before us, tell me.
In that place where, kind policeman becomes very restless and he gets a little annoyed with these people because they are arguing. He says, I don't care if my job is lost. And his eyes start shining because there is a conviction in him, in what he is doing. And this is a kind of a body language which Papa shows that this could happen to us. This kind of a thing, when there is conviction, the eyes start shining. And then he opens the door and quickly these two people get it without any argument. They are not waiting, he is saying so, the station master is saying something, ticket clerk is saying something, but the moment the policeman opens the door, quickly it is to do. So that word quickly get in also made me think about it, without any argument, quickly get in.
We should know, basically, that it was a spontaneous action on the part of the policeman. When you say about his body language, the body language goes along with our expression when it is spontaneous. It is not a product of thought. The inner urge came automatically from him. Nobody told. Even Papa or the other Sadhuram did not plead with the policeman to get into the carriage. It was spontaneous. That is why he said dictates of the conscience. Because it is straight away coming from him. And he was very clear about it. This action of yours shall be reported to the higher authorities and you will answer for it, warned the ticket clerk. Certainly, fine. As a result of your report, even if I be dismissed from the service, I am fully prepared to face all consequences, but neither you nor anybody on earth shall prevent the sadhus from travelling by this train. As you said, the conviction. So it is spontaneous. It is not a product of thought. We are reading it only to somehow touch and kindle it spontaneously, not that we will try to become knowingly. The intellect has no role there. In Thus Speaks Ramdas, there is a particular chapter called Reason and Intuition. Papa, in the initial stage itself, he will say that it is both a hindrance with a help and an hindrance. Wherever the intuition is not kindled, reason works. Reason can go wrong. Reason also has been given by God only. The faculty has been given to us by God to differentiate, to discriminate between good and evil, good and bad, all those things are there. So if that is not given, we will not be able to lead. We become childish in all of it. Immature. So the reasoning is also a powerful tool for our better performance as an individual, but it has got its own limitation. So here, through this again and again, though we had discussed about this yesterday or day before yesterday, again Papa is making us to concentrate on this aspect. The more you become sincere, the more you become selfless, the more you become purified, everything comes automatically, that means spontaneously. So you cannot bring out this spontaneous action by any willful activity. But the only thing is, when the mind becomes pure, the outcome will be spontaneous. When I become selfless, it will become spontaneous. When the care and concern for everybody writ large on my mind, then I become spontaneous. And God is within us. So He will try. Whenever there is an opportunity, He will come out. Yes.
One more doubt comes, Swamiji. We were just discussing about body, mind and intellect, this complex of the three. Now, intellect, we say, is a discriminating thing. Mind just goes by emotions. It goes, when by somebody says something, it goes with it. Somebody says against it, may go. But the intellect says, no, this is not correct. It has got a discriminating power. But beyond all the three, body, mind and intellect, is the spirit, the Atman. Now, what is the role of the Atman? Is the guiding spirit, right, always? But then, is it beyond intellect also, or does it guide out? Swamiji, please explain the role of the guiding spirit behind the intellect also.
Mind and intellect means it's in the form of a thought. Thought flow is called the mind. When it is wavering, when it is bringing out lot of dimensions, it is mind. But when it takes a decisive step, it is the intellect. So the same thought. Thought takes a decision based upon its previous experiences registered in its mind, from the experiences, from the wisdom teachings heard, analyzed, contemplated, assimilated, absorbed. All these things, that file is opened by the intellect. So intellect, is the super boss, no doubt. Mind places before the intellect so many things, and the intellect goes through and decides based upon this. Each one has got a role to perform. Beautifully, God has arranged this BMI, body, mind, intellect. But at the same time, the pulsating power, the activating power behind this is that. How do you know? You will say that yesterday I couldn't see so many disturbing thoughts. Okay? There is positive thought, negative thought, good decisions, bad decisions. So somebody is there to watch, That is why it is said. So there is something beyond this, Yesterday I thought, no, that was the right decision. Now I feel it was not. Why? The intellect played at that time, then say that it is the right decision. Today, the experience has taught me that the decision was wrong. So now I know that even beyond the purview of intellect, there is that. That is why in Atma Bodh, when Adi Shankara was analyzed.
So, Swamiji, even intellect is anatma?
No. It is all through the intellect, through the mind, through the body only it expresses, We can say it as anatma, yes, so in that language. Atma and anatma, when you say, You can say that. But why do we unnecessarily break all these things, We will just plead to him. You make me aware of your presence. Enough. You gave me a body, you gave me a mind, you gave me an intellect. I know that basically you have given all these things. But it is not helping me to know you. Please allow me. Simple, no? A simple prayer. Because the other one, it will take you to so many scriptures, so what? Ultimately, it becomes a theoretical exercise, an intellectual exercise. And we are there where we started. Accepting some intellectual knowledge. But here what we want is, we should be nearer to him. We should.
No need to break our head.
So that is what nowadays we feel. Initially we were also exploring all these things. And where has it landed? And we won't say it is bad. It has helped us a lot. Now when you said, this body, mind, intellect, suddenly we remembered, in Atma Bodh, he has analyzed what is gross body, what is subtle body, what is causal body. There he lists in the subtle body, Panchendriya Mahabhudam, Sambhavam Karma Sanchitam, Chariram Sukadukkanam, that is for the gross body. Pancha Prana Mano Buddhi, Deshendriya Samanvitam. Pancha Prana Mano Buddhi, mind, intellect, everything is there. Pancha Prana Mano Buddhi, Deshendriya Samanvitam, Apanchikrata Bhudoham, Sukshmangam, Bhoga Sadhanam. Alright, all those things we learned. So what? Anadi, Avidya, Anirvachya, Karanopadi Ruchade, Upadi, Tridayamanyam, Atmanam Avadare. But Atman is beyond these three. That is what we want. We don't want to get stuck with the body. We don't want to get stuck with the pranas. We don't want to get stuck with the mind intellect. We don't want to get stuck with any of these things. We want to somehow go straight to him.
He wants to with the Atma.
That is why Papa has linked, Jnanottara Bhakti. Papa's approach is Jnana interlinked with Bhakti. So it doesn't become a dry philosophy.
You should stuck with the Atma, the heart of God.
It will become dry after some time. People like us, who are not full-timers, who are involved in various activities, this becomes a theoretical knowledge, academic knowledge, intellectual exercise. We are not full-timers. So the best way for us is, we know nothing. You kindly take me. I am unable to understand all these languages. Please take me. That's all.
We should stuck with God, Swamiji.
We were really touched when we read this, Mirabai. When Mirabai, we have repeated this, but it's better. We have to keep on repeating it. When Mirabai was rolling in ecstasy, and when people started going towards her, all the pandits, the learned people, they felt she is misleading everybody. In English, they call it as emotional ebullition. You are immediately, you are, something takes place, that's all, for a moment, for a few minutes, then you are again back. It doesn't help us. An exhaustion will be there, that's all. So they honestly thought that she was misleading the people. So they all went to her and said, what you are doing is not right. There are certain things to be followed, which you are not doing it. You are simply doing this. Immediately, she did not find fault with them. She smilingly said, suppose you want to meet the Raja. Those things, Raja was there, the king is there. You have to meet the minister or the PA and tell him that you would like to have an appointment with him. And then he will go through his agenda, and if he is free, he will say, at such a time you can come and you can. But his son, tiny little son, whenever he wants to see his father, he will directly go and sit on his lap. He doesn't need any, I am a child. So Mirabai said, I am only a child of God. So this language, all these protocols, officiality, this and that, they are not valid for her. Childlike. So we are praying to the indwelling reality, Bhagavan, only to give us the simple faith, finished. don't make us to break our heads with so many of these. You are there. We know that. Our preceptor says he is there within us. I am what I am only because of him only. But I fail to understand his presence. And if I don't understand his presence inside, how will I understand him outside? So first make me understand your reality, please. Simple. We keep on repeating it. With this bhavana, we give the nama and we speech. In whatever form we bring in. If it is nameless, formless, we give the awareness. We give to that sound, Shabda Brahman, Nada Brahman, anything. And he will guide us. So the more we go deeper into the quest of God, we find there should be a harmonious blend of jnana and bhakti, and let us not get stuck with anything. And Papa's bhakti, everybody knows, it is not centered on a particular deity or a particular object. It is a parabhakti state. And when he scaled the height, he was able to have the communion with him. That is the bhakti part, Bhakti means Bhakta and Bhagavan are there too. So even after scaling the heights, Papa could maintain a relationship with him as the Chela or the Das of Ram. Though Ramdas and Ram are one, Ramdas would like to be the Das of Ram. This is Bhakti. So this Bhakti and our attitude is totally different. So Papa wants to blend this Bhakti with Jnana. When we go through many of his teaching, the highest philosophy will come. But at the same time, to ensure that it doesn't become a dry approach, he will bring this devotion. Okay?
Yes, Swamiji. Got it. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yeah. 2 more minutes.
Clear now.
Another incident, can I tell Swamiji? Because other people also may feel I am talking. Can I tell? No, I should not take, always I should not talk, so I should give chance to others. Can I talk? I will talk tomorrow. Better, no? Tomorrow I will talk. Let me give chance to others.
Okay then.
Then I will talk. Nobody's talking. 1 minute, Swamiji. Another incident. First, the railway inspector was somewhat rude in behavior with Papa and then the other sadhus. But when he saw the book New Testament in Papa's hand, his attitude completely changed. I think he is so much devoted to Lord Jesus. That is why his attitude changed. Not only that, the company of Pujya Papa, he had, he made a change, he charged him and transformed him. Is it not?
No, it is not like that. We say, when when he was trying to get up whatever the belongings they have, suddenly he saw the New Testament. When he saw the New Testament, he had a emotional attachment, He had got reverence for that. So immediately he thought, this is a Hindu sannyasi, why is he carrying it? So when he is carrying a book to which I adore, naturally that adoration gets passed on to him. So then immediately said, what are you going to do with this? Then Papa said, he is also, Christ is also equally wonderful, a messenger of peace. Then immediately, the transformation came. So that means when it happens, even in our own language, suppose you land in a place, the language is different. Somebody talks to you you hear somebody talking in Tamil, immediately Many years ago, that must be in 68 years, remember. We were in Bombay and we were on our way to Ganeshpuri to have the darshan of Anandashram. We don't know Hindi, Marathi. So the boats were in Marathi or Hindi. We were finding it extremely difficult to locate the bus which will take us. What to do now? So we went to the ticket, we got on in a railway station. So we went to the railway station again and told the ticket collector, ticket issuing, ticket bar. See, look here, we are from South. We don't know Hindi or Marathi. We have a Sankalpa to visit Nityanandaji's ashram. Will you kindly help us? He looked at us. Where are you from? Kerala. Immediately, he entrusted the job to somebody else, came out, took me first to the tea shop, gave tea and bread, and then took me to the bus conductor, bus driver. I told him he doesn't know this place. So as soon as it reached Ganeshpur, you should tell this is Ganeshpur and let him get down. And when are you returning? He asked. After 2 hours, you return. Then he said, you have to take him back and leave him in this year. The moment he came to know that we are a Malayali and he was a Malayali. So this affinity can come like that. No? When he was a lover, when he was a devotee of Christ, and when he saw New Testament appearing in somebody's hand, naturally that affinity, is a form of closeness, nearness. These are all practical, no?
Practical, correct. Thank you, sir.
Now it is 5.
Swamiji, similarly, a Mohammedan tells him, say that you are a chela of Prophet Muhammad.
Yeah.
That time, then he says, I am already his chela, he says. And that's again.
No, the thing is, when you have got affinity, the message is like that, no? So that is why when we try to bring in as many of his creations in our mind space, naturally our thoughts, words and deed will reflect something on it. And that will definitely pave the way for moving closer and closer to different types of people. Whether they belong to this faith or that faith, whether they are non-believers or believers. Ultimately, the language which is called love, the language of love can change everything, bring everything. So by spirituality or spiritual progress or spiritual journey is nothing but to capture this love. Love means L-O-V-E capital, which is free from attachment, which is free from expectations, which is free from recognitions, which is free from anything. Love for love's sake. Hari Om, Hari Om. Tomorrow is Sunday.
Thank you, Swami. Hari Om.
And Monday we will try. We will be away for a couple of days from Monday. We are carrying the laptop, everything. If we land in a place where we can continue this, yes, we will. Otherwise, we will meet on Wednesday. Okay?
Okay, Swami.
Okay, Swami.
We are not going. We will be traveling. But so possible, we will definitely try.